Did you know your blood pressure can drop into a healthier range in as little as 2 weeks without adding a single new pill? In fact, the fastest way to bring your numbers down is not about cutting things out. It is about adding the right foods that your blood vessels have been quietly begging for. And I have seen it again and again. I have had hundreds of patients walk into my office with readings of 150 over 95, sometimes higher, and within weeks of changing what sits on their plate, their numbers fall into a safe range and stay there. Not for a month, not for a season, for years. So in this video, I am going to walk you through the 10 foods that do the real work inside your arteries, your kidneys, and your nervous system to bring your blood pressure down quickly, naturally, and most importantly, in a way your body can hold on to. Before I get into the first one, do me a quick favor. If you want more videos that explain the why behind your body, instead of just handing you a prescription, hit subscribe, give this a like, and leave me a comment telling me what your most recent blood pressure reading was. I read them, and the ages and numbers of this audience genuinely shape what I cover next. So let's get into it. Here is what almost no one explains to you in a rushed 10-minute office visit. High blood pressure is almost never a problem of the heart pumping too hard for no reason. It starts upstream in the lining of your blood vessels, a thin layer of cells called the endothelium. When that lining is healthy, it releases a molecule called nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is what tells your arteries to relax and widen so blood flows through easily. When that lining gets damaged by years of inflammation, salt overload, poor sleep, and processed food, it stops making enough nitric oxide. Your arteries stiffen, they narrow, and your heart has to push harder against that resistance. That pressure reading on the cuff climbs, and the standard answer is a prescription that forces the vessels open chemically, while the underlying lining keeps getting worse. The system makes money when you stay sick, not when you get well. That is economics, not malice. There is no revenue in a 10-minute visit to teach you how food talks directly to the lining of your arteries. So I am going to. My name is Dr. William Lee, and every one of these 10 foods does one of 3 jobs. It restores nitric oxide so your vessels relax, it pulls excess sodium and fluid out of your system so the pressure inside drops, or it calms the inflammation that stiffened your arteries in the first place. You do not have to do all 10 tomorrow. Add them in over the next couple of weeks and stack them. Let me show you the first one. The first food is beetroot. These are the deep red bulbs sitting in the produce section. And most people walk right past them because they do not know what to do with them. If you ignore this one because it looks messy or unfamiliar, you are walking past the single most powerful blood pressure food on the shelf. Here is what beetroot does inside you. The root is loaded with natural nitrates. When you eat it, the bacteria on your tongue convert those nitrates into nitrite, and then your body turns that into nitric oxide, the exact molecule we just talked about, the one that relaxes your arteries from the inside. Research out of Queen Mary University in London showed that 1 cup of beetroot juice lowered systolic blood pressure by roughly 8 points within hours and kept it lower for a full 24 hours. That is a drug-sized effect from a vegetable. To use it, blend one medium raw beet into a smoothie with an apple and some lemon, or roast it and slice it onto a salad. If raw beets are too much, you can buy beetroot juice in most grocery stores. About a cup a day or 1 whole beet is the target. Start with half if you have never had it, because it is potent and your body needs a few days to adjust. Number 2 is leafy greens, and I mean specifically spinach, arugula, Swiss chard, and beet greens. Most people lump all vegetables together and miss that these particular greens are in a class of their own for blood pressure. What makes them work is the same nitrate pathway we just covered with beetroot, plus a heavy dose of potassium. Potassium is the mineral that tells your kidneys to release sodium, and when sodium leaves, water leaves with it. And the pressure inside your blood vessels drops. Most adults eat far too little potassium and far too much sodium. And that ratio is what drives the cuff reading up. A large analysis published in the British Medical Journal found that people who ate the most leafy greens had a 16% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. If you skip this one, you are leaving an easy daily win sitting in the produce aisle. Aim for 1 to 2 cups a day. Throw a handful of spinach into your eggs in the morning. Build a lunch salad on arugula instead of iceberg, or sauté Swiss chard as a side at dinner. Cooking does not destroy the nitrates, so any preparation works. Third on the list is garlic. And I want you to pay close attention because this one is the most underused medicine in your kitchen. Not garlic powder, not the jarred minced sitting in oil, fresh raw garlic cloves. Ignore that distinction and you lose almost all the benefit. When you crush or chop a fresh clove and let it sit for about 10 minutes, an enzyme inside the garlic activates a compound called allicin. Allicin relaxes the smooth muscle in your artery walls and boosts your body's own production of nitric oxide. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutrition found that garlic supplementation lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 to 10 points in people with hypertension, which is comparable to many first-line blood pressure medications. 1 to 2 raw cloves a day is the target. Crush them. Let them sit on the cutting board for 10 minutes, and then stir them into olive oil over your vegetables. Mash them into hummus, or chop them onto avocado toast at the end of cooking so the heat does not destroy the active compound. So far, every food has done the same quiet work, relaxing your vessels and pulling out the sodium, and we are only 3 in. The next 4 are the ones that change the meals you are already eating. If a friend or someone in your family is fighting their numbers, send them this video. Because this is the stuff no one sat them down. Number 4 is bananas. Most people think of bananas as just a quick snack and miss that they are one of the most concentrated potassium foods you can buy for $1. One medium banana carries about 420 milligrams of potassium, and that potassium is doing exactly what we talked about earlier. It signals your kidneys to dump sodium, the fluid volume in your bloodstream drops, and the pressure pushing against your artery walls drops with it. The DASH diet, which is the eating pattern with the strongest research behind it for lowering blood pressure, leans heavily on potassium-rich foods, and bananas are one of the easiest entry points. In my experience, patients who add a banana a day alongside cutting back on packaged foods see their systolic reading come down 5 to 10 points within a month. 1 banana a day is plenty. Eat it with breakfast, slice it onto oatmeal, or blend it into a smoothie with those leafy greens we just covered. 5th is fatty fish, and I mean salmon, mackerel, and sardines specifically. This one does not work by pulling sodium out. It works on the deeper problem, the inflammation that stiffened your arteries to begin with. Salmon and mackerel are loaded with 2 omega-3 fats, EPA and DHA, and these are among the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory compounds we know of. They lower the inflammatory signals in your blood vessel walls, the endothelium starts healing, and the artery regains its flexibility. A flexible artery handles pressure beautifully. A stiff one cannot. In my 15 years of practice, the patients who eat fatty fish twice a week consistently have calmer, more stable blood pressure readings and lower resting heart rates to match. Aim for 2 servings a week, about the size of your palm each. Wild salmon, sardines, and herring are all excellent. Bake it, or buy it canned if that is easier on your budget. Canned sardines and mackerel are some of the cheapest, most powerful foods in this entire video. Number 6 is dark chocolate, and yes, you heard me right, not the milk chocolate bar with sugar as the first ingredient. I am talking about dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa. The cocoa bean is packed with flavonols, which are plant compounds that signal your endothelium to make more nitric oxide. That same molecule again and again is what your arteries need to relax. A review of 35 clinical trials published in the Cochrane database found that cocoa flavonols lowered systolic blood pressure by about 2 to 3 points on average, and more in people who started with hypertension. Small effect on paper, but stack it with the other foods on this list, and it adds up. 1 small square, about 20 to 30 grams of 70% or higher dark chocolate a day is the right dose. Any more, and you are adding calories and sugar you do not have it as an afternoon snack alongside a handful of walnuts, and you have turned a craving into medicine. 7th on the list is olive oil, specifically extra virgin olive oil. Of all the fats you can cook with, this is the one I point my patients toward first because of what it does for the lining of your arteries. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fat and a group of plant compounds called polyphenols. Together, they reduce inflammation in the vessel wall, improve nitric oxide production, and have been shown in studies from Spain and Italy to lower systolic blood pressure by about 8 points in people who used it as their main cooking fat for several months. Use 2 to 3 tablespoons a day. Drizzle it on salads, over roasted vegetables, on top of soup, or use it instead of butter on bread. Do not heat it to smoking. Use medium heat for cooking, and save the highest quality bottle for raw drizzling where the polyphenols stay intact. Number 8 is oats. Whole rolled oats or steel cut oats, not the flavored instant packets loaded
Let me
with
set
sugar.
that straight.
Let me
Because
set that
the sugary
straight,
version
because the
cancels
sugary
almost
version
all the
cancels
benefit.
almost all
Oats
the
are one of the
benefit.
richest
Oats are
sources
one of the
of a
richest
soluble
sources
fiber
of a soluble
called beta-glucan.
beta-glucan. That fiber does two things for your blood pressure. It binds to cholesterol in your gut and pulls it out of your system, which keeps your arteries cleaner and more flexible. And it feeds the good bacteria in your colon that produce short-chain fatty acids, which independently lower blood pressure by helping your kidneys regulate sodium. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that regular oat consumption lowered systolic blood pressure by about 4 points. In my practice, swapping a sugary cereal breakfast for a bowl of oats with berries, walnuts, and cinnamon is one of the single fastest changes I see on a morning blood pressure reading. Half a cup of dry oats cooked into a bowl with water or unsweetened milk is a solid daily target. Top it with banana slices and walnuts and you have built a near-perfect blood pressure breakfast. Number 9 is hibiscus tea. And this is the one with the fastest visible effect on a cuff of anything on this list. If you have a home monitor, you can watch this one work within an hour. Hibiscus is the deep red dried flower you can buy as loose tea or in tea bags at almost any grocery store. The active compounds are anthocyanins, the same family of pigments that make berries red and purple. They act as a natural ACE inhibitor, which is the exact mechanism used by one of the most common blood pressure medications. They block the enzyme that constricts your blood vessels, and the vessels stay relaxed. Research led by Dr. Diane McKay at Tufts University found that drinking 3 cups of hibiscus tea a day lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points in adults with mild hypertension over 6 weeks. That is a drug-sized effect from a flower that costs a few dollars. Brew 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried hibiscus in hot water for about 5 minutes, 3 times a day. Drink it hot in the morning or iced in the afternoon with a squeeze of lemon. If you take any blood pressure medication already, talk to your doctor first. Because hibiscus can push your numbers down faster than you expect. The 10th food is pomegranate, and this one proves the whole point of this video. Pomegranate is sweet, it is fruit, and it lowers your blood pressure. Here is how. The seeds and the juice are packed with polyphenol that protects your endothelium from oxidative damage, rusting of your blood vessels over the years. Pomegranate also acts as a mild ACE inhibitor, just like the hibiscus we just covered. A clinical trial published in Phytotherapy Research found that drinking 1 cup of pomegranate juice a day for 2 weeks lowered systolic blood pressure by about 7 points. Eat half a cup of fresh pomegranate seeds a few times a week, or drink half a cup of pure pomegranate juice with no added sugar. Sprinkle the seeds onto your morning oats, your leafy green salad, or your leafy green salad. Let me tell you about someone I will call Margaret. 67 years old, recently retired. Came to me frightened because her blood pressure was sitting at 158/96, and her doctor had just told her it was time to add a second medication. She did not want to spend the rest of her life climbing the medication ladder, and she was scared because she had watched her own father lose his independence after a stroke at 70. We did not put her on a strict diet. We added oats with banana and walnuts in the morning instead of toast. A cup of hibiscus tea 3 times a day. Beetroot juice with breakfast. Beetroot garlic and olive oil over her vegetables at dinner. Fatty fish twice a week. Fatty fish leafy greens at every lunch. Leafy greens at every lunch with pomegranate seeds in the afternoon. Within the first 2 weeks, her readings started dropping. Within 3 months, working alongside her own doctor, she had come off that second medication entirely, and her readings had settled at 122/78. 2 years later, it has held. She did not starve herself. She ate more food, just the right food, and her own body did the rest. So let me tie all 10 of these together because this is the reason they work when cutting salt alone fails. Every one of these foods is handing your blood vessels back the tools they need to do their own job. The beets, the leafy greens, and the garlic restore the nitric oxide that relaxes your arteries. The bananas and the leafy greens pull the excess sodium out. The fatty fish, the olive oil, and the dark chocolate calm the inflammation that stiffened the vessels in the first place. The hibiscus and the pomegranate quietly act like nature's ACE inhibitors. The oats clean the system from the inside. Do that meal after meal, day after day, and the artery that lost its flexibility slowly regains it. That is what reversing hypertension means at the cellular level. And once it happens, your body holds your pressure down on its own, which is exactly why Margaret's numbers stayed low for 2 full years. Before I give you tonight's plan, I need to draw one clear line. If you are already on blood pressure medication, especially an ACE inhibitor, an ARB, or a diuretic, these foods can lower your numbers fast enough that your dose may suddenly be too high, and that can drop you into dizziness, lightheadedness, or worse. So add these foods with your doctor, watching your numbers, and let them walk your medication dose down as your body improves. Do not stop any prescription on your own. Bring this list to your next appointment instead. So here's what to do tonight. 5 simple steps. 1. Tomorrow morning, swap your cereal or buttered toast for a bowl of rolled oats with a sliced banana, a handful of walnuts, and a sprinkle of pomegranate seeds. That single swap changes your blood pressure for the entire day. 2. Tonight, buy a bag of dried hibiscus tea and start drinking 1 cup tomorrow morning. Work your way up to 3 cups a day over the week. 3. Pick up a bunch of fresh beets and a bag of spinach or arugula. Roast the beets for the week ahead and build at least 1 salad a day on those greens. 4. Start crushing 1 to 2 fresh garlic cloves into olive oil over your dinner vegetables tonight. Let it sit for 10 minutes before you add it to the heat. 5. This week, put fatty fish on the menu 2 nights and replace your afternoon snack with a square of 70% dark chocolate. Stack these in over the next 2 weeks. You are not removing the foods you love. You are adding the foods that protect you. Now, everything we did today brings your blood pressure down during the day and through your meals, but a huge number of you have told me the same strange thing, that your highest reading of the whole day comes first thing in the morning before you have done anything stressful, before you have eaten a single bite. You slept all night and your pressure went up anyway. There is a specific reason your body does that while you sleep, and there is a way to shut it down. I made a video that explains exactly what is happening overnight and how to wake up to a lower number. I will put it right here on the screen. Go watch that one next, and I will see you there.